Tonight, we invite you to drift into a serene journey titled The Tranquil Saga of Horus, Embodiment of Triumph. As you relax, you'll encounter the calming tale of Horus, the Egyptian sky god. A figure of strength and wisdom navigating paths strewn with challenges. This gentle recounting will explore how Horus becomes a beacon of justice and a protector of royalty. With each moment, allow yourself to sink deeper into tranquility, guided by ancient stories that echo through time. And now, let the tale unfold. In the timeless realms of ancient Egypt, where gods tread the divine sands, Osiris stood as a beacon of wisdom and benevolence. As the king of Egypt, Osiris was revered for his fair governance and ability to bring prosperity to the land. Under his reign, the people flourished, and the land of Egypt was a tapestry woven with justice and harmony. Osiris was not just a king but a deity who embodied all that was righteous and fair, holding a legacy that inspired devotion and loyalty among his subjects. Yet within the shadows lurked Set, his brother, whose heart was a maelstrom of envy and ambition. Set, seeing the grace and admiration commanded by Osiris, grew detestable of the light in which Osiris shone. Discontent simmered within him, ultimately forging a treacherous plan to disrupt the balance. During a ceremonious banquet, an event meant to celebrate unity and abundance, Set enacted his dark scheme. With calculated deceit, he led Osiris into a trap, inextricably sealing him in a coffin, cutting his life short and thrusting Egypt into mourning. The heart of Isis, wife and devoted companion to Osiris, was steeped in profound sorrow. Guided by her love and fervent loyalty, Isis embarked on a relentless search for her husband's body, deserted within the fragmented domains of the Nile. Her path was arduous, a journey woven with hope and heartbreak, as she sought to restore Osiris to his rightful place among the living, even if only briefly. For Isis, every day was a vigil, every night a plea to the gods, her courage undeterred by the enormity of her task. Swiftly, the winds of destiny carried her pleas to the divine council, where gods of illustrious power heeded her call. Isis's determination and the benevolence of the gods permitted the resurrected union of Osiris and Isis, for but a fleeting moment, to conceive a child destined to bear the legacy of righteousness. Thus, amid reeds swaying in the gentle embrace of the Nile, Horus was conceived, the seed of hope nestled within the breast of a quiet spring night. The arrival of Horus was shrouded in secrecy, a necessary refuge from the vengeful gaze of Set. With an infant cradled to her breast, Isis retreated into the depths of the delta marshes, a sanctuary of quiet reeds and whispered prayers. Under the gentle evening sky, wrapped in its orange and amber hues, Isis and her newborn found solace from Set's relentless pursuit. The spirit of Osiris, though departed, lingered, casting a protective veil over his son and wife. From the moment of his birth, Horus was the subject of divine prophecy, foretold as the one who would rise to challenge Set's ill-gotten throne. The gods, in their omnipotent wisdom, carved the path of his destiny, heralding a time when justice would prevail through him. Even as a child, beneath Isis's nurturing guidance, Horus grew in both strength and spirit. Isis, embodying the love and cunning of a devoted mother, instilled in him the principles of leadership and the pursuit of justice. Though tender in years, the foundations of Horus's destiny were being laid. Isis guided him through the world of earthly and divine truths, shaping a resolute character endowed with an unwavering sense of purpose. She whispered to him the stories of Osiris, weaving a tapestry of the past that fueled Horus's growing resolve. The lessons Horus learned amidst the reeds of the Nile prepared him for the trials that fate held in their stead. In the span of those early years, Horus's determination burgeoned under the watchful eye of the gods and the tender stewardship of his mother. Each day unveiled a new horizon, extending a vision for justice and balance that would one day soar through the endless sky, as assured as the prophecy foretold. The quiet banks of the Nile, with their calm and protective embrace, bore witness to the birth not only of a god, but of a legacy that would echo through eternity. As the dusk deepened into night, Isis cradled Horus, murmuring the promise of a destiny unfurled, while the stars above bore silent testimony to a future shaped by the steadfast hand of fate. The tranquil evening gave way to dreams filled with whispers of sand and stars, preparing Horus for the path that lay ahead, the path of a rightful heir, destined to reclaim order from chaos. In the days following his birth, Horus grew under the watchful eyes of his mother, Isis. She was keenly aware of the prophecy that foretold her son's destiny, to challenge Set for the throne of Egypt. Knowing that his path would be fraught with challenges, Isis decided to prepare him thoroughly for the trials of life. She taught Horus the arts of war, instilling in him not only the skills of battle, but also the wisdom to wield them judiciously. Under her guidance, he practiced with the staff and scepter, symbols of power and leadership, on a dusty training ground where the soft golden light of dawn ushered in a new day of learning. Each lesson was a building block for the strong foundation he would need to fulfill his destiny. As Horus blossomed into a young god, he encountered his first challenges. Small skirmishes with Set's followers tested his resolve and the skills imparted by Isis. These followers were loyal to Set and eager to disrupt the peace, seeking any opportunity to strike against Osiris's lineage. Although these confrontations were mere shadows compared to the stormy trials that awaited him, they reinforced Horus's determination. With each encounter, he understood more about the delicate balance between strength and restraint, a balance his father once maintained. Isis observed these encounters closely, offering wisdom and care to her son, reminding him that true power lay not only in physical might, but in understanding and compassion. Patience and justice were among the many virtues Isis instilled in Horus. As they both sat under the canopy of the endless sky, she narrated stories of how Osiris ruled with a gentle hand and a firm heart. These tales were a legacy of justice for Horus to inherit and embody. Isis emphasized that the path to leadership was paved with fairness and the ability to listen, learn, and dole out justice wisely. Horus absorbed these lessons eagerly, witnessing how justice restored harmony, even in the smaller world of garden disputes and quarrels among local villagers. Through these teachings, Horus's character blossomed, reflecting wisdom beyond his years. Seeking further mastery of understanding, Horus sought the counsel of Thoth, the god of wisdom. Thoth, known for his prudent insights, welcomed Horus with words that resonated with his growing mind. Through quiet meditation and careful teachings, Thoth imparted the ancient knowledge of the divine order, recounting how wisdom governed both gods and mortals alike. In peaceful discourse, Horus learned to appreciate the power of words and the clear sight of the mind, tools he would need on his quest for justice. His time with Thoth enriched his soul, reinforcing within him the principles of integrity and the strength to discern truth from deception. Ra, the majestic sun god and arbiter in the divine court, observed Horus from on high. In the shimmering cloak of dawn, Ra noticed Horus's emerging fairness, a glow that seemed to echo the light he himself bestowed upon the world. Ra saw potential in the young god, recognizing in him the growing promise of a leader who could restore balance to the realms. In this serene recognition, the sun god offered an unspoken paternal nod of approval, a silent acknowledgement of the path Horus was to tread. To test Horus's understanding of justice more profoundly, Ra devised a divine challenge. This test required Horus to arbitrate a dispute between two lesser gods, each claiming rights over a fertile stretch of land. Horus approached the task with a measured mind, weighing both sides of the argument with care and compassion. He listened intently as both gods presented their grievances, carefully considering the stakes involved. After profound reflection, and following the guidance of Thoth and Isis, Horus delivered a judgment that respected the laws of fairness and honored both parties. His decision not only resolved the matter peacefully, but also reflected the deep-rooted sense of justice instilled in him by his mentors. Impressed by Horus's handling of the trial, the divine court regarded him with newfound respect. There was an air of silent approval as the gods took note of his ability to balance strength with wisdom, a vital quality for the king he was destined to become. Through this quiet yet powerful acknowledgement, the gods offered their blessings to Horus's mission, bolstering his resolve to face his future with courage and honor. In these early trials, Horus's spirit was forged like the ancient Nile, persistent yet gentle in its flow toward the sea. His journey had only just begun, but the silent blessings of the gods and the resilience nurtured by his mother, Isis, set him on the path of destiny with a heart full of hope and determination. Horus stood at the cusp of destiny, feeling the weight of his father's legacy press gently upon him. A series of signs and omens began to manifest, whispered across the divine landscape of the heavens. The sacred ibis flew in curious formations, while the stars themselves seemed to twinkle with added significance. These heavenly signs did not go unnoticed. They served as reminders of Osiris's reign, urging Horus to uphold his father's legacy and destiny. As if nudged by these celestial gestures, Horus felt an awakening desire to reclaim the throne of Egypt from the clutches of his uncle, Set. The call to action did not lie dormant in Horus for long. Soon a council of gods, a gathering ordered by the majestic Ra, was convened to deliberate on the young god's rightful claims. In the great chamber's solemn and sacred atmosphere, the gods assembled, each taking their position, each a monument to their power and wisdom. Ra presided over the assembly, his gaze impartial, as he sought to weigh the merits of Horus's plea. As concerns of order and rightful succession took the forefront, the atmosphere was charged with a sacred determination to ensure the balance of Mat was maintained. In this divine court, Thoth, the prudent and eloquent god of wisdom, played a crucial role as mediator. Between Horus's legitimate claims and Set's objections, Thoth sought a pathway through which the truth could be deciphered and justice meted out. Thoth's words resonated with a wisdom that touched on the necessity of preserving Osiris's lineage, for in doing so, divine justice could be realized. The debates echoed from alabaster walls, calm yet firm, as each side presented their case. It was a discourse that could shape the future of the realms and alter the course of history. A moment of resolve flickered in Horus as he stood to make a formal declaration. The time had come for him to assert his intent to challenge Set, a statement that echoed within the chambers like a command of fate. Horus's voice was steady, imbued with the assurance that justice was on his side. His declaration was not merely about claiming a throne. It was about restoring a fractured order, bringing peace where turmoil dared to breed. In that moment, everything came into alignment, as the council received Horus's words with solemn recognition. Ra, the eternal embodiment of the sun, listened with quiet contemplation. It was his decision to grant Horus a divine trial, a test of courage and leadership amid the grand cosmic theater. This was a customary process, one which provided the accused and accuser with an equal stage upon which to contest. Ra's permission was not lightly given. It was steeped in the traditions of the divine court, where balance and justice reigned supreme. This granted Horus a chance to prove his mettle in a trial that would transcend mere conflict and touch the very core of his being. With the trial sanctioned, Isis, ever nurturing and cunning, stepped forward to extend her wisdom and blessings to her son. Her support was indefatigable, a force woven from love and profound understanding. She imparted words of caution and courage, nurturing Horus with her enduring strength. Her blessings were whispered softly, originating from a heart that had endured and survived the trials of loss and hope. Through these quiet moments, Isis instilled in Horus a steadfastness that would serve him in the challenges to come. As preparations began for the upcoming trial, a sacred anticipation enveloped the assembly of gods. Each deity present acknowledged the gravitas of the impending judgment duel. Horus and Set, though bound by blood, were players in an elaborate game where destiny and divine will intersected. Their contest was to be more than a mere trial of strength. It was a manifestation of divine justice, a corporeal representation of cosmic balance. Horus took this moment to steel himself, aligning his focus on the task that lay ahead. His resolution was ironclad as he gathered his thoughts within the hallowed halls of the divine courtroom. The Eye of Horus, a symbol of protection and power, was his silent guardian, representing the unbroken lineage of kingship. The trial would be a journey deep into his own spiritual understanding, a test as much about inner strength as about rightful claim. And so, with solemn determination, Horus prepared to meet Set on the battlefield envisioned within the cosmic landscape. As destinies converged, and the divine awaited in presupposed silence, the stage was set for the narratives of old to unfold in the eternal realms of the gods. The whispered encouragements of the divine parliament, the guiding star of his father's legacy, and the unyielding love of his mother all accompanied Horus into the poised beginning of his divine challenge. Under the fiery hues of the sunset, the time had come for Horus to confront his fate upon the arid desert battlefield. The vast desert stretched endlessly, with the sky painted in shades of crimson, burnt orange, and gold. As the sands shifted softly underfoot, Horus assembled a loyal force comprised of followers and allied gods. Determined to honor his father Osiris and restore balance to Egypt, Horus approached his army with a resolute spirit. Among them were those who revered justice and believed in the legitimacy of his birthright. Simultaneously, Set, who had usurped the throne, was not idle. His ambition knew no bounds as he gathered his own army, a collection of fierce warriors and cunning followers. Set's forces were driven equally by fear of his wrath and promises of power if they could maintain his claim to the throne. The scene was set for an inevitable clash, the air tingling with anticipation of the battles that would determine the future of Egypt. As the armies approached one another, the initial skirmishes in the desert served as tests of strength and strategy. Horus led his forces with wisdom instilled by Isis and the tactical guidance of Thoth. His strategies were precise, leveraging the desert terrain to his advantage. Where others saw endless sand and scorching sun, Horus saw opportunities for maneuvers that caught Set's followers off guard. With each calculated move, Horus's prowess in leadership and combat shone through, inspiring those around him. The first direct encounter between Horus and Set unfolded with an intensity worthy of their divine lineage. While the clash was not overtly aggressive or chaotic, each move was deliberate and full of intent. Set, desperate to cling to power, opted for less honorable tactics, using deception in an attempt to unseat Horus. Despite these machinations, Horus remained undeterred, his resolve unbroken by Set's cunning. In the midst of these exchanges, minor victories emphasized Horus's skill and strategic insight. These small triumphs against Set's forces buoyed Horus's spirit and reignited the loyalty in his followers. Each victory, though not decisive, chipped away at the veneer of Set's invulnerability. Horus's followers witnessed their leader's mettle firsthand, instilling in them a greater sense of purpose and hope. Yet, the battle, despite these successes, did not find its conclusion within the day. As the fiery sunset dimmed into a calming evening, the combatants retreated to reassess and regroup. Both sides withdrew, neither able to claim total victory, yet both recognizing the persistence and strength of the opposition. The unresolved conflict lingered in the air, setting the stage for future confrontations. It was clear that the battles between Horus and Set were far from over, each bringing their own divine strengths to bear on this mortal plane. The desert, with its vast expanse and swath of stars overhead, bore witness to the divine conflict's early stages. As night settled in, a quiet tension replaced the day's fervor. Under the starlit sky, both Horus and Set prepared for the continuation of their struggle, each considering their next steps as they plotted the path toward resolving their dispute. In this interlude under the desert's cooling breath, Horus was fortified by the minor victories and lessons learned. He envisioned the impending challenges with newfound clarity, bolstered by the quiet but steadfast support of his allies. He was hopeful that future encounters would bring him closer to fulfilling the prophecy that foretold his triumph over Set. As the armies rested, the stage was subtly set for the continuation of their conflict. The ethereal night offered a momentary pause, allowing both gods to reflect upon the divine dance that would ultimately shape the kingdom of Egypt. As the sun ascended into the vast Egyptian sky, its golden rays shimmered over a radiant temple where Horus stood, receiving blessings from the gods who had watched over his journey with unwavering attention. Within these sacred walls, the gods prepared to aid Horus with divine gifts and wisdom, reinforcing his resolve in the ongoing struggle against Set. Central to this divine arsenal was a magical boat crafted by Isis, engineered to carry Horus swiftly and safely across the Nile, maneuvering through the strategically challenging waters. This miraculous vessel would allow Horus to surprise and outmaneuver Set's forces, providing an edge in the tactical dance of warfare. Thoth, the wise and eloquent god, offered Horus a wealth of wisdom through sacred texts and teachings. With these ancient scrolls, filled with the knowledge of ages past, Horus fortified his mind as well as his spirit. He was instructed in the ways of strategy and discernment, lessons that would serve him well as the conflict deepened. Each parable narrated by Thoth became a valuable tool in Horus's growing arsenal of intellect and grace, bolstering his ability to navigate the complex and often treacherous paths laid out by Set. At midday, Ra, the majestic sun god, spread a warm light across the lands, illuminating Horus's journey with guidance and protection. The sunlight itself seemed to whisper blessings, indicating divine favor and ensuring Horus remained on the righteous path. As Ra's rays touched the earth, they drove away shadows of doubt and kindled a fire of confidence within Horus, encouraging him to strive ever forward toward his rightful throne. In the shimmering temple, Horus was also bestowed with a powerful talisman, the Eye of Horus. This emblem symbolized protection and power, a beacon of hope in the midst of the storm. As Horus accepted the eye, he felt an overwhelming surge of strength and security, a divine shield against nemesis and malevolent forces. It reasserted his profound lineage and his father's enduring legacy, deepening his connection to his destiny. The support of minor deities also bolstered Horus' spirit, as many pledged their allegiance to his cause. These lesser-known gods sought to ensure balance and justice, standing as steadfast allies against Set's ambitions. Each deity offered unique skills and strengths, a testament to the growing unity among Horus's allies. Their presence added further depth to the divine support propelling Horus toward victory. Despite Horus's divine backing, Set was not idle. Crafty and determined to protect his ill-gotten reign, he devised cunning tricks to destabilize Horus's efforts. Employing shadows and deceit, Set sought to ensnare Horus in a labyrinth of falsehoods and illusions. Yet, the vigilance of the gods thwarted Set's schemes, each crafty ploy unraveling under the scrutiny of celestial eyes. The intervention of the gods reinforced the fidelity of Horus's mission. Their ceaseless vigilance and timely interventions were unmatched, negating Set's attempts and ensuring Horus remained focused and driven. Through their collective might, the scales of justice seemed to tilt toward Horus, who recognized the unwavering support that buoyed him along his arduous journey. Acknowledging the invaluable aid of his divine allies, Horus found his resolve further strengthened. He understood that this multifaceted struggle was more than a quest for a throne. It was a passage where virtues such as justice, integrity, and wisdom prevailed. With every divine gift bestowed upon him, and every deceitful ploy thwarted by his allies, Horus' path illuminated further, steering him toward the inevitable confrontation with Set. Under the mid-afternoon sky, the shimmering grandeur of the temple shone brightly, harboring a newfound hope. The dedicated efforts and benevolence of his divine companions amplified Horus's purpose, driving him to lead with these values deeply ingrained within him. He moved forward with renewed vigor, guided by an elevated sense of purpose and an unyielding faith in the righteousness of his mission. The support of these divine beings coalesced into a powerful force, one that invigorated Horus and prepared him for what lay ahead, a decisive duel with Set. The momentum built from this divine backing coiled like a spring, ready to unfurl in the pivotal moments to come, as Horus embraced the guiding hands that steered him toward his destiny. In the heart of the desert, where the golden sands stretched endlessly under the harsh sun, Horus and Set prepared to meet for a decisive battle. This barren landscape was to be their arena, a fitting stage for their deeply rooted conflict. As the afternoon wore on, the air shimmered with anticipation, carrying the weight of the fate that danced on the horizon. The gods observed silently, their presence unseen but felt, as the two warriors readied themselves to clash once more in their long-held struggle for supremacy. This confrontation would not be ordinary, for nature herself seemed to take sides. As Horus and Set approached each other, the wind began to howl, swirling the sand into a fierce storm that engulfed the battlefield. The sandstorm raged with a fury that mirrored the intensity of their rivalry, transforming the desert into a chaotic whirlwind. Visibility dwindled, yet the two gods pressed on, their forms becoming mere silhouettes against the turbulent backdrop. Such was the force of their conflict that even the sky was torn asunder, marking the beginning of their epic struggle. Set, ever the trickster, relied on deceitful tactics to gain an upper hand. He called upon illusions, making duplicates of himself in the storm, hoping to confuse Horus and scatter his focus. Yet Horus, armed with the wisdom of Thoth and the sight of the eye of Horus, remained unfazed. His vigilant nature and resolute heart allowed him to pierce through the deception, targeting his uncle with unerring precision. Each blow struck with purpose, demonstrating the resolve Horus embodied as the rightful heir of Osiris. Amidst the swirling sands, a critical moment arose. Set, aiming to debilitate Horus, launched a fierce attack on his eye, signifying another brutal attempt to undermine him. The strike was formidable, and for a tense moment it seemed as though Horus's vision might indeed be lost. However, Horus, drawing on his inner strength, did not falter. The eye of Horus pulsed with protective energy, safeguarding him from the loss that Set intended. This symbol of restoration in Horus's steadfast spirit allowed him to maintain composure even in the face of such peril. Aware of his charger's precarious position, Thoth descended upon the scene, his presence calming the storm. The god of wisdom brought not only solace, but also healing, tending to Horus's wounds with divine intervention. The alliance between wisdom and valor was reaffirmed, strengthening Horus for the continuation of his monumental endeavor. Horus stood once more, rejuvenated, reflecting the enduring power of the bonds that had been forged to protect the legacy of his father. While Set had employed every treacherous scheme at his disposal, Horus's resilience and the divine assistance he received aided him in subduing his uncle, if only temporarily. This was a pivotal moment in their conflict, where the tide seemed to turn ever so slightly towards Horus's favor. The sandstorm began to abate, revealing the dramatic tableau of Set, momentarily weakened by the collected might of his nephew. Though their struggle was far from over, this marked a significant shift in their age-long battle for the throne. As the sand settled and the desert reclaimed its familiar silence, it became evident that the conflict had reached a stalemate. Neither fully triumphant nor defeated, Horus stood stronger, galvanized by the trials he faced and the resolve within him. The echoes of this epic confrontation resonated across the sands, a reminder that the true test of endurance and will was yet to unfold. Both Horus and Set withdrew to marshal their strengths for the battles still to come, each plotting their next moves with the meticulous care that only gods could muster. The dust of the desert bore witness to the power and resilience of Horus, setting the scene for the culminating moments of his journey. As ever, the watchful eyes of the divine allowed this chapter to close with neither hubris nor falter, but with a measured calm that promised the continuation of their narrative. The gods, observing from the heavens, knew that Horus's preparation and resilience, honed by this encounter, would soon be called upon as his final trial awaited. After the tumultuous clash in the desert, the dust settled, leaving the outcome uncertain. Horus and Set stood as rivals on the battlefield, but the time had come for divine deliberation. The gods summoned both to the hallowed halls of the divine courtroom, where celestial justice would be served. As the soft glow of twilight bathed the vast chamber in an ethereal light, Ra presided over the proceedings, his towering presence a reminder of impartiality and truth. The stillness of the divine court reflected the gravity of the situation, with Ra seated at an elevated position, overseeing the assembly of gods. Horus, resolute and determined, faced Set, whose ambitions were as strong as ever. The gods watched with solemn anticipation, knowing the significance of the decision before them. The air was charged with the weight of divine justice, a momentous decision awaiting to unfold. Isis, ever the protector of Horus, presented a compelling case before Ra and the assembled gods. She spoke with a voice that resonated with love and wisdom, tracing Horus's lineage back to Osiris. Her words painted a portrait of a rightful heir destined to restore balance and fairness to the realm. She articulated how Horus, through trials and perseverance, had proven himself worthy to follow in Osiris's benevolent footsteps. The gods listened intently, absorbing the evidence as they weighed Horus's claim to the throne. Set, on the other hand, asserted his rule with long-standing confidence. He detailed his years on the throne, emphasizing stability and control. His voice was smooth, painting a picture of an effective ruler who had maintained order despite the challenges. The gods listened as Set sought to justify his actions and reinforce his rule, each word measured and calculated. His argument was not without merit, a reminder of the complexity of the decision at hand. Thoth, the wise mediator, spoke next, his voice a beacon of prudence and eloquence. He emphasized the importance of Osiris's lineage and the legacy he had left behind, a legacy that lived on in Horus. Thoth's words resonated with the divine assembly, shedding light on the profound continuity of legacy and the rightful transfer of power. The balance of justice was utmost in Thoth's mind, urging the gods to consider the wisdom of restoring Osiris's line through Horus. Ra, the majestic sun god and arbiter of the council, took a moment to absorb all that had been said. His celestial aura filled the room as he carefully weighed the rivalry's points. Ra contemplated deeply, deliberating the nuances of each argument, contemplating the contrasting visions presented. His was a decision steeped in fairness and objectivity, one that considered the welfare of the realm and the divine hierarchy at large. After a thoughtful pause, Ra issued a temporary decree, a decision neither severe nor lenient, but one crafted with careful consideration of all perspectives. The decree allowed time for reflection and further contemplation, ensuring a decision that would uphold justice and balance. It provided a moment of respite, an opportunity for Horus to gather his thoughts for the path ahead and for Set to reflect on his place within the shifting sands of power. With the decree issued, Horus withdrew into quiet contemplation. The reflections of his journey echoed through his mind, the understanding that every trial had honed his resolve and refined his sense of justice. The deliberation shed light on the formidable challenge that lay ahead, but it also reaffirmed his determination to pursue the rightful claim to his father's legacy. The divine court's proceedings had illuminated the path before him, marking the next steps he must take to secure the balance he so desired. As the council dispersed, the divine chamber remained bathed in the soft embrace of twilight, a testament to the celestial order that would soon be restored. The moment held a solemn peace, a prelude to the resolution yet to come. In this sacred place, dreams of an Egypt returned to its former glory lingered, urging Horus forward into the trials that awaited. In the celestial realm, the dawn light unfurled like a golden tapestry over Horus, who stood resolute before the sacred scales. The trials laid out before him were not just tests of strength and skill, but they called for courage, fairness, and integrity, the core of what would make him a worthy ruler of Egypt. Each challenge was not simply a test of physical ability, but a profound evaluation of his readiness to bear the mantle of leadership left by his father, Osiris. As the clear winter sky hung endlessly above, the gods watched with unwavering scrutiny. The first trial set for Horus was one of courage. He was tasked with entering the realm of the unknown, a place where darkness pervaded and fear could easily overpower. Yet, with an unwavering heart, Horus ventured forth. The darkness swirled around him like a living entity, whispering doubts and fears meant to unstead his resolve. But Horus, recalling the sign of his father's enduring spirit, moved steadily forward. With every step, he defeated the shadows, proving that true courage was the ability to persist amidst uncertainty. Meanwhile, Set observed these proceedings with keen interest. He knew these trials were more than just spectacle, they were opportunities. Attempting to sway the balance, he planted illusions and deceptions along Horus's path, hoping to disrupt his focus and resolve. However, Horus, having grown wise from his previous confrontations, recognized these tricks. With the support of Isis's teachings etched into his heart, he calmly dispelled each apparition. His determination was unyielding, and justice guided his path as he navigated Set's snares with clarity of purpose. Next, Horus was brought before the scales of Maat for the trial of justice. Here, his own heart would be weighed against the feather of truth, a testament to his honesty and righteousness. The gods gathered closer, their divine gazes fixed as Horus approached the scales. In perfect silence, the scales balanced, showing that his heart was light with truth, unmarred by deceit or malice. This test illustrated his worthiness to sit as a just king, whose rule would epitomize fairness and moral integrity. The gods continued to observe, taking note of Horus's composure and capacities. Each test reaffirmed their confidence in him. Yet the trials were not over. A challenge testing Horus's purity and moral strength lay ahead. Within a sacred temple, Horus faced visions of wealth and power intended to lure him from his path. He remained unwavering, unmoved by earthly temptations, reflecting a soul committed to higher purposes beyond selfish desires. This trial reinforced the sacred bond between the earthly and divine responsibilities he was destined to uphold. Throughout these trials, Isis and Thoth were Horus's silent allies. Isis, ever the nurturing protector, had long prepared Horus for moments such as these, embedding her wisdom deep within him. As Horus journeyed through trials, it was not only his strength that shone, but the accumulated knowledge and guidance he had received from both his mother and Thoth, the prudent god of wisdom. Their unspoken support fortified Horus, bolstering his resolve during times of uncertainty, ensuring his conviction remained intact. As the final trial concluded, Horus emerged successful, passing each test with undoubted fortitude. The gods noted his unwavering perseverance and steadfast adherence to the values of courage, justice, and purity. Each challenge overcame affirmed Horus's right to claim his father's throne, strengthening the divine trust the gods placed in him. Now, they convened to deliberate and prepare to deliver their final judgment upon the results of Horus's trials, knowing full well that the destiny of Egypt hung in the balance. The trials of balance had tested not only Horus's immediate abilities, but affirmed his readiness to inherit a legacy fraught with both challenge and promise. As the gods left for the divine judgment, an air of anticipation swirled amidst the celestial realm. Horus, unburdened and patient, awaited the culmination of his journey with the calm assurance of a leader ready to uphold the sanctity and justice long awaited in Egypt. As dawn cast its first gentle rays across the celestial realm, the air shimmered with anticipation. The divine assembly convened, their presence both illustrious and commanding. Ra, majestic in his presence, took his place at the center of the celestial courtroom, a sacred hall bathed in hues of gold, crimson, and ivory. The gods, each embodying the divine essence of their realm, gathered to contemplate and conclude the monumental trials that had tested Horus, son of Osiris. The verdict poised to determine the future of Egypt created an ethereal silence as Ra prepared to announce the gods' decision. Within the vastness of the celestial court, all attention focused on the supreme arbiter. His impartiality was unquestioned, his wisdom revered across the cosmic and mortal planes. With a voice that resonated like a harmonious blend of sunlight and divine decree, Ra addressed the gathered assembly. Each word carried the weight of justice, forging a path through the honored traditions of the ancients. The stillness was palpable, the sense of gravitas grounding those present in the immensity of the moment. As Ra's proclamation unfolded, the tension that lingered around the declaration began to fade. The gods, silent witnesses to Horus's trials and challenges, awaited the enlightenment of Ra's judgment. It was in this moment that a profound calm enveloped the celestial space, paving the way for the truth to unfold. Ra, embodying the steadfast majesty of the sun, declared, in a tone both commanding and serene, that Horus was recognized as the rightful king. His journey, filled with perseverance and integrity, had proven not merely his claim to the throne, but his capacity to restore balance across Egypt. The celestial hall reverberated with the quiet assent of the gods, each acknowledging the fortitude and purity of Horus's trials. Yet, not all stirred in agreement. Set, determined in his resistance, sought to contest the decree. His ambitions, as deeply rooted as the sands of the deserts from which he had drawn power, echoed in his objections. Yet Ra's decree was immutable, as resolute as the courses of the stars themselves. Set, though unyielding in spirit, found his challenges diminished in the face of divine judgment. Acknowledging Horus's victorious ascent, the gods bestowed their blessings upon him. Each blessing resonated with elements of justice, wisdom, and protection, a celestial endorsement of his journey and his right to ascend the throne of his forefathers. With the conclusion of the divine judgment, a sense of rightful justice elevated the atmosphere, suffusing it with triumph and a sense of fulfillment that permeated through the very fabric of Thith. Aether. The assembly dispersed, their roles in this significant decision underscoring the principles upon which all life was entwined. As news of the verdict reached the mortal realm, celebrations began to unfurl across the lands. Followers of Horus, their faith rewarded, rejoiced in the streets. A sense of communal joy and reverence united Egypt, as the promise of guidance under Horus's just rule sparked hope for the dawn of a new era. Amidst these celebrations, a contemplative Horus withdrew briefly, reflecting on the vast responsibility conferred upon him. His resolve was freshly tempered by the knowledge that leadership carried the weight not only of power, but also of duty. He understood that the throne brought with it the expectation of maintaining the delicate balance between divine right and mortal law, an equilibrium as intricate as the sands upon which Egypt prospered. In this moment of reflection, Horus felt his father's legacy breathe a gentle encouragement upon the winds. Osiris's wisdom echoed in the chambers of his memory, guiding the newly appointed king toward an understanding of his role as protector of the realm. The gentle nightfall that followed was serene and promising, a symbol of the order that his reign aspired to maintain, a peace built upon the restored justice of the divine verdict. As night cloaked the celestial skies, Horus looked toward the horizon with a sense of resolve. His reflection on the path forward would guide not only his reign, but also the perseverance of truth and balance, the bedrock of his rule. With a heart strengthened by the trials overcome, Horus turned his gaze to the heavens, honoring the journey that had led him to this moment. As the heavens began to unveil their tapestry of stars over a tranquil Egypt, anticipation for the future reigned supreme. Under Horus's leadership, the promise of justice lay at the heart of the land, signaling a new chapter open to the possibilities of prosperity and harmony. A chapter that would define the legacy of Horus, the embodiment of triumph. With the verdict delivered, Horus's ascent to the throne marked the dawn of a new era for Egypt. As the radiant sun embraced midday, Horus stepped forward, his presence serene yet commanding. He accepted the divine scepter and crown, the sacred symbols of his rightful rule. Seated upon the throne, with open skies as his witness, Horus embodied the fulfillment of a prophecy long spoken of among the deities and mortals alike. A gentle breeze whispered through the palace columns, as if carrying the echoes of past kings who had once trod this path. Set, understanding the finality of Ra's decree, did not contest further at this juncture. He retreated into the shadows, ever a vigilant adversary, accepting that his time to rule had passed. Yet, Set's departure was not without the lingering reminder of his ambition. In the depths of his heart, a quiet resolve persisted, biding time for a moment when tides might turn again. This retreat, however, allowed Horus the space needed to enact his vision of a just and flourishing kingdom. With a steady hand, Horus began implementing principles of justice and fairness, which he believed were the cornerstones of a prosperous reign. Guided by the wisdom passed down from Osiris and Isis, Horus initiated reforms that echoed these timeless values. His commitment to fairness won the hearts of his people, who had long yearned for the stability that his leadership promised. A legacy rooted in justice unfolded, one decree at a time, as Horus sought to restore an Egypt wounded by strife and division. One of his first acts as king was to revive the temples, places of worship that had languished under Set's tumultuous rule. Horus understood that the strength of a kingdom lay not only in its armies or wealth, but in the reverence it held for the divine. He repaired the sacred spaces, calling upon the gods to bless his reign, and established new alliances with neighboring nations. With each restored temple, Horus reaffirmed Egypt's spiritual and diplomatic connections, cultivating a network of peace that promised enduring stability and prosperity. Under Isis's gentle guidance, Horus worked to rejuvenate the fertile lands of Egypt, ensuring that its people would never want for sustenance. The cultivation of the Nile's rich banks became a symbol of the life-giving power of his rule. In her nurturing role, Isis offered counsel in matters of the heart and mind, ensuring that Horus's judgment was tempered with compassion. Together, mother and son labored to heal both land and spirit, understanding that true strength came from an abundance shared freely among the populace. The gods themselves acknowledged the new dawn of Horus's reign with a celestial celebration that lit the skies in hues of emerald and gold. Winds carried the sounds of divine hymns throughout the kingdom, celebrating the harmony restored by Horus's ascension. The heavens rejoiced as Horus was formally recognized as the embodiment of order, a living testament to the divine right of fair leadership. Under his watchful gaze, the peace was both profound and all-encompassing. Horus ensured that his leadership bound the nation, as well as the heavens, in a pact of restored balance. Through ceremonies of peace and justice, Horus aligned the cosmic forces, reminding every soul of the strength derived from unity and steadfast rule. His dedication was honored by the gods, their blessings cascading upon Egypt with gifts of fertility, wisdom, and boundless horizons. Happiness spread throughout the lands as Horus's governance matured, and an era of growth and prosperity unfurled like the petals of a sacred bloom. Even as Set lingered in the recesses of the forgotten, the lasting imprint of Horus's orderly reign glowed resplendent. He embodied the enduring potential for good, guiding his people with the firmness of a shepherd and the kindness of an old friend. His was a reign not defined by the vanquishing of foes, but by the forging of bonds, both mortal and divine, that held firm against the eddies of discord. As Horus settled into his role, the celestial court and its divine occupants nodded in approval, affirming the restoration of balance. Their quiet acknowledgement was all the blessing Horus needed, a surety that his father's legacy lived on within him. Beneath a boundless and azure sky, Egypt found itself reborn, carried by Horus's guiding hand toward a horizon painted with promise. In the years that followed Horus's ascent to the throne, his story spread far and wide across Egypt, leaving a powerful legacy. Every village and town spoke of Horus's journey from a vulnerable child, protected in the marshes by Isis, to a mighty king who reclaimed his rightful place. Parents recounted his tales to their children, embedding his virtues of courage, justice, and love for truth into the very heart of Egyptian culture. Central to Horus's enduring legacy was the symbol of the Eye of Horus, which had become synonymous with protection and health. This sacred emblem, once a tool in his struggle against Set, now adorned amulets and art, believed to ward off evil and provide safety to its bearer. The eye served as a constant reminder of Horus's divine watch, offering reassurance to all under his celestial gaze. Temples and monuments dedicated to Horus rose across the landscape of Egypt. Towering structures in pristine stone were built to celebrate his victories and mark the places where significant battles of the divine took place. These sacred sites not only recognized the greatness of Horus's rule, but also served as centers for spiritual gatherings, drawing pilgrims who sought to connect with the god's divine essence. The legacy of Horus extended beyond the monuments themselves, influencing the culture and religion of Egypt on a grand scale. His lineage continued to govern with the same sense of duty and integrity that Horus embodied. Stories and religious texts passed down through generations admired his rule, providing a model of leadership that prioritized justice and the well-being of all, maintaining a sense of divine balance. As Horus's influence grew, the memory of Set faded into quiet history. His attempts to seize power, though marked in myth, became overshadowed by the benevolence of Horus's leadership. Ancient scribes and priests documented these tales, ensuring that Set's role as an adversary served only to highlight the triumph of righteous justice over deceit and ambition. Future leaders of Egypt looked to Horus's example, seeking guidance in their governance. His unwavering commitment to justice, became the hallmark of revered rulers, emulated by those who wished to lead with fairness. Horus's ability to transform chaos into order provided an enduring blueprint for those who aspired to rule in harmony with the will of the gods and the needs of their people. The gods, too, acknowledged Horus's impact. His rule fortified his place among them, as stories of his wisdom and justice resonated with divine authority. Celebrations in the divine realm rejoiced in the establishment of peace and balance, echoing grateful sentiments from gods who had supported him in his journey. Horus was venerated not only as a king but as a hero among gods, whose journey inspired tales of courage and rightful triumph. In future years, storytellers and historians alike immortalized Horus as a timeless hero. His saga was carved into stones and inscribed on the walls of temples, ensuring that his deeds were recalled with reverence. The tranquil narrative of his battles and triumphs served not as mere legend, but as an essential part of Egypt's soul, forever guiding those who listened. As the sun set over the sacred monuments of Egypt, casting long shadows across the desert sands, Horus's legacy stood firm, a testament to his life's work. The enduring impact of his rule, celebrated in both human and divine realms, secured his place in history, reassuring all who came after of their rightful place under the open, endless sky. As the heavens stretched wide over Egypt, the stories of Horus's triumph lingered in the gentle whispers of the night. His journey from a concealed infant to a just ruler became an eternal saga of courage and justice. Through the rhythm of the ages, Horus's tale continued to inspire generations, its symbolism deeply etched into the consciousness of the land. His story offered a wellspring of inspiration, reflecting the timeless values of bravery and righteousness that defined his path. The tranquil flow of the Nile mirrored the peace that Horus's reign had brought. It carried the memories of battles fought and victories won, serenely winding its way through the land that had become a testament to the gods' enduring legacy. With every ripple, the river whispered of Horus's dedication to justice and balance, a gentle reminder of the serenity his leadership ensured. The Nile, ever present and unyielding, symbolized the continuity of harmony that flourished in the wake of Horus's triumph. Horus stood as a vigilant guardian over both the natural world and the cosmos. As the embodiment of balance, he harmonized the forces that governed the heavens and the earth. This divine stewardship ensured that peace reigned supreme, with justice served across realms both mortal and divine. In Horus, the protector of the skies, the eternal struggle for equilibrium found its champion. His leadership illuminated the path for those who followed, inspiring them to nurture harmony within themselves and their domains. Justice, once a distant aspiration, was now manifest in the daily lives of both gods and mortals. Under Horus's benevolent gaze, harmony flourished, casting away the shadow of discord that had long plagued the land. His reign marked the dawn of a new era where fairness prevailed, encouraging communities and individuals to embrace virtuous principles. With justice restored, the realms of divinity and humanity coexisted in peace, each enriching the life of the other, resonating with the promise of a better world. The cycle of myths and their varied lessons formed an intricate mosaic of wisdom, eternally interwoven with the fabric of existence. The story of Horus echoed these enduring truths, illuminating the virtues that guided the righteous and fortified the protectors of peace. As each generation inherited the tales, they found themselves woven into this rich tapestry of harmony and truth. These narratives became timeless guides that directed the hearts and minds of those willing to listen. As the night matured, the serenity of Horus's completed journey reverberated in the calm embrace of the stars. It was a stillness born of fulfillment and resolution, a testament to the divine balance restored and maintained. In this tranquility, there was a gentle conclusion to a saga of struggle and triumph. an eternal lullaby whispering peace to the weary world. The night sky echoed the restful harmony that had unfolded under Horus's reign, a cosmic assurance of the enduring tranquility that embraced all. High above, the gods observed the peacefulness of Egypt, content with the justice reigning throughout the land. Smiles of gratitude adorned their faces as they blessed the nation, securing its future with the gentle touch of divine favor. The celestial assembly acknowledged the trials and triumphs of Horus, collectively weaving their blessings into the night, bestowing quiet dreams upon all who lay beneath the stars. As the story of Horus softly concluded, it lulled listeners into a deep, restful slumber. With the river's murmur and the stars' tranquil glow, the tale reached its orchestrated end, a harmonious conclusion to a journey of righteousness and balance. The onlookers and storytellers alike drifted gently into dreams, enveloped by the peace of an ancient narrative that had come full circle, reminding them of the delicate beauty inherent in a just and balanced world.